We start with the chart. You want to see how we can look at the chart and whether we can get any trade set up or not. First things, if since we didn't have the analysis for a long time, and no one see because after I mean, since the last time we get the update was since the price was within this range and exactly here, and no one see how we can look at the chart. All right, we need to look at the chart in the different way because we want to see whether we can get the continuation or not. The only things I need to highlight it to make it very simple with the breakout of the 36, the next level I'm looking for is 41.3. Now, how we can look at this move? All right, the first option, if we want to put this one as a correction, which is expanding flat as a first correction, that means we can consider this one as the last one. That's why with the breakout of the 36, the next level I'm looking for is a 41.3. But to look at the chart in this way is not really a good idea because first things we have expanding flat, and the second thing is if we want to put this one in relative to this, it's not really good. That's why we will end up with the expanding flat. That's why there is a possibility this is the first wave and now we are in the correction. That's why if we get one more drop, this one turn to a bigger correction. That means this correction can be more complex. Any reversal from here, it can give us a better confirmation for price to break 41.3 and retest the previous top, and it can give us better opportunity to look for buy rather than look at this one as expanding flat. Because if this is the expanding flat, to look for trade within this range, we cannot get a really good trade setup. But which one to look for, we cannot confirm right now. That's why we need to see the continuation as a and breakout of the 36. But beside that, we need to be keep I mean, we quite highlight that even if you put desktop in relative to the previous one, if we refer to the indicators, we see we have a divergence. That's why we need to add both options. All right. That's why as we can see, we see the divergence here and we see the divergence here. That's why we go with this, the one, I mean, two different option made, it can give us one more drop. That's why I mentioned I'm not really happy to look at this one as expanding flat. And since we have a divergence, even we can expect this one turn to a second wave in the bigger picture as a correction relative to this. That's why if he wants to look for trade, as if there is a continuation, if he wants to look for trade within this range, any trade is a short term, because if this is the correct, the second wave in relative to this, we can expect one more drop. I don't want to say the price is going to drop. The only thing is I need to highlight that we need to be quite careful simply because since we have a divergence. All right. That's why if he wants to look for trade, if this one turns to a bigger correction, one more drop, that means we get a more complex correction here. It can give us better confirmation for continuation rather than looking at this one with the as expanding flat. If we didn't have the divergence, because if we move to lower time frame, also we see we have a based on forward chart, we have a divergence. If we didn't have the divergence, we could follow with the only one option as expanding. Right? Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, with the breakout of the 36, we're looking for the next level as a 41.3. We want to see whether the price can break the 41.6 or not. And if we move to forward chart, as we can see, the price broke the previous top. And if we refer to the indicators, we see we have a divergence. We can consider this one as a divergence. We're looking at this top and relative to this one. But whether we should look for trade or not, as I mentioned, we need to see whether the price can give us a correction here or not. And even if we get the flag here, whether we should look for trade or not. All right. In this case, we move to 1 hour chart. And even based on 1 hour chart, we have a different possibility. If we wants to look, we want to see, can we look at this one as a running flat? If we wants to look at this one as a running flat, that's mean if the only way to look for trade, we consider as this one as a short move flag, the only way is to put our entry above this top. Okay. Buying at this top is really risky because what we want to see the breakout of the top and continuation. And we should know that simply the price can tag and drop. Why? Because still we can expect even to get the divergence based on 1 hour chart. That's why we can look for buy from here, but the only thing is we should know that it's a really risky trade and it's not a really good trade setup. And if anyone wants to look for trade by having entry above the top, but they want to consider this one as a flag, they should know that we want to see the continuation as a sharp move, and with the breakout of the 38, we move our stop loss to break even. That's why, as I explained, based on daily chart, we have a different option. We can look at the chart based on the different option, and even to look at this one as a running flat, is not a really good idea. For me to look for trade, I'm not really interested to look for trade from here. Even if I want to look for buy from here, I just go with the low lot, and that's mean the small lot. But if this one give us one more up, the price drop, this one turn to bigger correction as what we explained based on higher time frame, any reversal from there, it can give us better opportunity to look for the next trade. But anyway, right now we want to see whether the price can break. If there is a continuation, we want to see whether the price can break 41.3 or not. Anyway, we don't see really good trade setup as I explained based on daily chart. The only thing is we want to see whether we can see the continuation as a short move with the breakout of the 36, because if there is a continuation, we're looking for the next level as a 41.3. And if we want to look for trade based on 1 hour chart, I mentioned the only way we can look for trade. That's why we need to be quite careful, because as we explained, we can look at this correction in a different way. Anyway, we just follow the chart. If I see any update, I will share. Thanks.